Hello, everyone, and welcome to Leftovers. I'm your host, Sean, and we have our temporary host and our real alternate host, Nathan. And our guest
Optional.
tonight is Justin from RoleD5.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
So glad to have you tonight. We're going to have some nice discussions about what we always discuss, gaming and how we got into this business. But opening up, usually Matt, of course, has to hit us with a PowerPoint or something. I see Matt has put the comments on the screen, which is interesting. So anyway, Matt,
That's Nathan.
Oh, Nathan did that?
Yeah, that requires way too much technical
No,
expertise
it's easy
for me to
button.
do.
Go ahead, Nathan. See,
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight on The Leftovers. We've got a pretty packed schedule heading into the end of the month and going into June. So next Tuesday, if you missed our initial episode of our live mothership, I still have this as Where's the Beef, but it's the Boneyard. That was my original title. Sorry, Nathan. We're going to have our epic finale will be next Tuesday on June 5th. On The Leftovers, we have a special guest, Adept Icarus. On 10 June, we're very excited to have Malcolm come back, and we're going to start running a short live run of Brindlewood Bay. And on the 12th of June on AARPG Leftovers, we'll have special guest Stephen Glicker from the Roll for Combat podcast. So again, we've got a lot of stuff rolling into the beginning of summer. Just to let everybody know, we just released both on our YouTubes and on the podcast our most recent episode of our Dragonbane adventure, Mirth, Magic, and Mayhem, a reptile dysfunction. We're still trapped in a time loop and probably covered with certain amounts of dragon dung in this episode. I'm not quite sure, but go ahead and check it out. And like I said, mentioned before, if you didn't get a chance to catch our first episode of The Bone Farm, you could check it out on our live episodes. It's really cool. I think Nathan this was a independent creator created this adventure.
Independent creator who's also a professional sound designer who's actually worked on the upcoming Jurassic World movie. So,
oh wow, I didn't.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and not that Nathan's head needs to get any bigger, but he got some pretty good feedback from the creator on our first episode. So go
Nathan,
check it out.
Matt, Nathan likes getting big head. It's okay.
All right. That's the end of my announcement.
Sorry, Justin.
Back to you, Sean.
So Justin, I took the liberty of just starting off of listened to you 2 weeks ago. You said you your pocket you awakened in a strange place or something, and listened to some of that.
Yep.
I thought that was interesting. I liked the free flow of it. Like just the setup is like everybody said something, and if they said it, it became part of the game, and it ended up being a sci-fi time traveling polycube with a relationship, and then I got to the point where they were talking about if they were the bad guys, and I thought that was I was very amused by it. Unfortunately had something to get off, but I'm going to pick up on it. Mm-hmm. But so first of all, I'm going to give the satisfy Matt's desire. Justin is a veteran of the United States Army, and I want to thank you for that. I being a Marine and Matt being in the Army. Now I'm going to give Matt the opportunity to ask. Our draft dodger Nathan won't like it, but Matt, go ahead and ask some questions.
Oh no, I was just gonna have so Justin, maybe you should, for our folks out there, why don't you introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, and sure, why don't you throw in so I can geek out.
I want to get that
some
in the
military
way
stuff.
Talk, man.
For sure. Hey everybody, and thank you all again for allowing me to be part of your show for the evening. I'm GM Justin. You can find me at all my socials at Forever GM Justin. You can also find me at RoleD5. That's ROLE_D5. Where we specialize in playing indie TTRPGs. And I am a 17-year active duty Army Sergeant First Class, still currently serving here, and the lovely and beautiful Fort Bliss, Texas.
My goodness.
This is home for me. So I say it endearingly, but also it's like it's brown and it's a desert. So it's
there's amazing decorative gravel yards. Right?
Yes, 100%.
3 more years,
so
though.
small
More
world. So
years.
first, thank you for your service. Small world. I went to basic training at Fort Bliss, Texas.
Oh, wow.
I went there in the end of August. And all right, now I'm going to age myself here. 1989.
Okay.
And it
Can't
was dry then too.
Yep. Yep. Funny enough, this has been the most dustiest year that we've had. We've had so many dust storms
Oh my
that have come
gosh.
through the city that even my wife, like I said, she's a native, has said like I've never seen so many come through before. And even when I was here the first time, I was like, it'd get dusty once in a while, but this year it's like it's like at least 2 or 3 times out of the month we have like 3 or 4 day stretches of
That's
not being
crazy.
able to see like 5 feet ahead of you. It's nuts.
Oh, that's nuts.
We
That is
lucked
nuts.
out on basic at Fort Bliss, but we did have one night. So our middle phase was out at White Sands,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's where we do all our range stuff and all that. And we were coming home at night from a whole day of range and all that. And like one of those squalls picked up, and it was
Mhm.
just, you could see that you're basically holding the guy in front of you's web gear, right? And
Yep.
just hoping you guys are going in the right direction. So that's crazy. That's absolutely awesome. Well, now it's been a long time since I've been there.
Yeah, so it's interesting because now the question is like I want to hear in your journey how you got there, being how you 17 years in, and you've of course transferred duty stations since then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so how you
Oh,
started and how you got here.
yeah, I started my career over at beautiful Fort. I don't know if it's back to being Benning or more.
Yeah,
But
I know what you're
started.
talking about in Georgia.
Yeah, it's in Georgia, Columbus, Georgia. That's where I started my career. Spent basic training there before I went over down to Fort Eisenhower, which was formerly Fort Gordon, Georgia, about 4 hours down the street. And I was a signaleer at the time. Spent my first duty station over at Korea, and before PCSing over to Fort Meade. Spent a couple years there. I made a transition from being a signal soldier to being an analyst, and
Makes
mostly because points wise, it was a lot faster to get promoted than it was to be in my old job. So going from out of an 800 point scale, 798 for the entire 3 or 4 years I was a signaleer, to then transferring to a job that was like, oh, you only need 35 points. I got 35 points. I'll take that promotion.
Oh my
Thank you.
goodness.
Yeah, for folks who don't know, there's like a
Yeah.
scale that you hit points at a threshold. But if all the billets are full, they just
They
keep
raise
it
it.
right at the
Oh,
max.
God,
And
it
so
makes it
that's just right. If no one leaves or retires, you can, especially if you're in a specialty job, you can really get stuck there. Yeah.
20-year
Yeah.
specialist.
Well, that's funny. Is if you at the fort, you'd have been right down the street from
Fort Meade in Maryland.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
drive by it all the time.
Yeah.
UMass, Maryland. So
Oh yeah, and I remember also taking trips up to Fort Detrick too. So like whenever I see it on like TV, like what is it, Criminal Minds has done an episode about Fort Detrick. I was like, oh, I've been there before. I know exactly what they're talking about.
All the animal testing and
That's right.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, so did you play TTRPGs before you, or were you introduced in the service, or
Yeah.
like, when did you start playing?
I started playing in my second deployment in 2019. I was in Iraq this time, and I had just come back from a minor stint in Syria. So I was actually with my actual shop. So it was a Sunday. It was with an aviation unit too, so it's a lot more chill than your ground units. And well, it was a Sunday, and I saw a couple of my friends go into the chapel, and we didn't have anything going on. So I was just like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" There was a German national there too, and they're like, "Oh, we're playing D&D." I'm like, "I've heard of this. I tried doing this one time. I played Ruinera back in
that sounds familiar.
2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my true first game, but I still didn't have, like, I learned it over at they showed me how to do it at a game shop in Hawaii. I didn't really truly understand what I was doing, but then seeing my friends play D&D and them actually taking some of the time to explain what was going on and watching the fun that they were having, I was like, this is dope. I want to learn how to play this. And well, I picked it up and I haven't stopped since. Even when I came back to do a little bit of schooling, our unit redeployed back and I started my home group that is still going almost 6 years strong,
Wow.
playing D&D together.
Good.
That's awesome.
Good.
So if I can
That's
jump
great.
in here
Go ahead,
real
Nathan.
quick. So a few weeks ago we had Chilling in the Party on Leftovers, and most of that group, that podcast started playing together in the Navy, like on
Really?
an aircraft, on an aircraft
Yes.
carrier.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of funny that a lot of folks, I know Matt talked about being deployed and playing in Germany, I think, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we played in Germany, but my buddy Dave was a supply guy. So when we went to the sand, he brought, because he was the supply guy, he was able to pack extra stuff, and so he brought his D&D stuff, and we played, where we live. And it was funny because we started, it was just us, and like 2 weeks later, there was like 20 people, like different, like people were coming out of the woodwork once, because we all know back then it was a little less cool to admit that you were playing D&D. But yeah, no. So I definitely, I didn't start in the service, but I was lucky enough that a lot of the places, I actually didn't play when I was in Texas, but there were several different groups in Germany that were, it was good. It was nice.
Yeah. And on
Matt
top of that too,
I'm sorry, Matt doesn't tell you he had a D20 around his neck when he was on his Chinook. Yeah.
well, what is it? One of the things that that they don't tell you whenever you go on a deployment, whether it's on a ship or whatever have you, like you have a lot of more free time because you're away from family, and after you get off of your shift, however long that is. I know for us it was like a 12-hour shift. Although that last deployment we did mostly 8-hour shifts. We did it. Yeah, it really was. But I had so much time. There's only so much time you can spend at the gym,
right?
Where you're looking for something else to do.
There's only so many tires you can flip, right?
Yes.
So many hands of spades and so many. Yeah, eventually you got to do something else.
Yeah, there's only so many times I can like swing a sledgehammer at a tire at it.
Right.
Like, I need to do something else.
It would be the most interesting movie ever made if they made like a realistic in real time war movie, right? Where it was like just the entire 99% of the movie, it's just people sitting around, and then punctuated by very
times
brief moments of
stress.
Yeah.
And so to just continue on the for our so people listen to our war stories here, but so you were playing, so that's interesting. You started and you got, so it sounds like you were doing this through the military and you were playing. And I guess, the group you stayed with, I make a logical leap. You do stuff online with them.
Yeah.
So you rolled into that.
Yep.
Right.
It made the transition when COVID hit that much easier because we were
I thought that's us too.
Yeah.
So what system do you use to game online? I'm curious because Nathan would be curious and all of us would be. We've got used a couple different ones.
Yeah. So right now we use Google Meets to do just our voice and video. I'll stream YouTube off of it. So whatever music and sounds, we'll go through that. And then if I actually have maps for whatever we're doing, I use Owlbear Rodeo to be the display for that.
We tried that a little bit. They did a lot of upgrades to Owlbear Radio, and I don't know. I liked it. I think I liked it better when it was really super bare bones. But they've been adding so many features to it, and that seems like to me, it's like slowed it down a little bit and made it a little more complicated.
Yeah,
but, that's my my 2 cents. But.
No, I agree. Like there's they added in stuff that's. Well, it's cool to have. Like if you use that, it's awesome to have it. I know I pull a couple things here and there, but for the most part, I throw the map on there. I make sure everything matches up with the scaling size, and that way I can throw icons. And then I think they also have the status icons. I pulled that, and that's what I use. I don't use anything more than that. I occasionally use the AOE measuring tool.
Right.
especially to really mess with my players. And like, I'll drop that in there. They're like, Justin, what's that? I'm like, don't worry about it. Delete.
So, like when I look at it a lot, one of the reasons why we've kind of chatted a little bit before, and I see a lot of your posts, but I kind of think of you as like two things. When I see your posts, it's either Magic the Gathering or one of the Cthulhu games. So let's hop on the Cthulhu side first. Like, so how did you get started with the Cthulhu games, and which ones are your favorites?
So we started as a one shot for my home group that piqued my interest on it because this was before I really delved into being more of an actual play performer, in that, I was only doing D&D. So when one of my home group friends was like, "Hey, for our 1 year anniversary, can we play a different game?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's go for it." Everybody else was down for it, and then he brought in Call of Cthulhu, showed us how to play it. We had a good time, and it was like the first horror game that I really got into that was not D&D. So um, I got all the supplements for everything, and I've just been playing it ever since in some way, shape, or form throughout the space. Either I'm making up my own modules, or I'm using stuff that I see on I see that Chaosium publishes. The most recent um, modules that I've been using as of late have been from it's the I'm just drawing a blank right now as I'm like taking a look to see if I can find it.
Under pressure, under pressure, under pressure.
Right. There it is. So it's the Nameless Horrors. That's the ones that I've been drawing a lot of stuff from. So like I will pull modules from that and just run that for a group of people. Or like I said, I've made up my own stuff. Over at RoleD5, I did a 2-parter for using Call of Cthulhu for the investigation down at the Rio, where we covered a version of the Mexican folk story called La Llorona. So it was a good time.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that one. What's that folk tale about?
So La Llorona is a spirit of a woman that, depending on who you ask and what region of Latin America um, you hear it from. For me, I was always raised that it was a woman down in Mexico she was described as one of the most beautiful women in her village. And this rich gentleman came into town. Her and him fell in love with each other. They got married and they settled down. They have kids. Well, after those 2 kids, the man's eyes went elsewhere, and he left her for another younger woman. And so her reaction to it was to take her children down to the river, and in a fit of madness, she ended up killing her kids before she died herself.
Classic horror.
Yep. So I took that story and I kind of flipped it on its head, so to speak, where I remember I was sitting down with my wife and I'm like, what if though? Because that's a fun way to start a conversation. It's like, hey, with the story, what if? Hear me out though. What if the story originated from the man who left the woman for a younger woman, who left his family for a younger woman? What if the story originated from him? What if? And I went down and we did kind of like the plotting for this, how this would work. And I was like, I want to tell this story. And well, I remember Mika from RD5. Me and him were talking a little bit about it. I was just like, hey, this is my idea. This is my pitch. I think it would be a fun story to tell, an interesting story to tell, considering the layers of misogyny that do stem from this type of story. And what if we actually like portray it as like it's not what actually happened, but it's because this man had looked for an excuse to be able to get rid of his family so he could be with somebody else.
Oh, that's dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that your description of the folktale sounds a lot like. Have you ever read any of the Vaesen books from Free League?
A little bit. I know I played Vaesen with Bleak over at Folk
Oh,
and
okay.
Myth. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's if you look through any of the published adventures, there's really like always, almost. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it. It's just a lot of dead kids. Just like a lot of like it's one way or the other, but just a lot of betrayal, and that's what caused these spirits that can't find rest
Mhm.
and all these other unspeakable horrors so that story that you told would absolutely be a fit for that horror game also. That's definitely a horror game. Have you ventured out into other besides, so you did that one shot with Bleak Season, have you done other horror games like any other like or even uh Cthulhu adjacent like Delta Green or Octone Cthulhu or stuff like that?
So I've played on an off-screen game of Delta Green that that was a really fun way of doing. That was really fun for me because then it brought in my whole military experience.
Yeah.
And then what is it? My friend over at what is it? Dungeons and Dog Tags. They brought me in for a Delta Green game too. That one I dove too close to my to my actual job in the army, and I had to, what is it? Thankfully, the GM was just like, "Hey guys, remember you still can do like a lot of things. You just have to deal with the paperwork afterwards." I'm like, "That's right. I am not beholden to a lot of the IRL stuff I am now. So let me just go ahead and dive into it because this is the game. I can do it. It's fine." And then we just went off the rails after that. But that's one game. Another one that I've picked up on was the game called The Worst Days. It's still on its it's still not fully finished with flushing everything out. I think they're still on 0.92 version. And I'm about to run that for a charity for trans kids next month. So, or
Okay.
not next month, in July,
That's nice.
July 1st. So looking forward to that. And that,
Are
those
you
are
doing that
really
with
the
Roll
only,
D5 or a different group?
with a diffent group.
Okay.
Doesn't sound
Gonna
like you're
be,
doing much at all. No, not
no, not at all.
You got plenty of
Uh,
spare time. Plenty of spare time from work. Jeez, that's a lot.
yeah,
No,
it's with
good,
the
man. Good
tabletop
stuff, man.
art funds. That's what I'm gonna run that game with.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So that's great background. So I'm curious as to you. How did you develop to go online with everybody? How did you make? It's always interesting to hear how people or someone or a group said, "Hey, let's see if we can do this and where everybody can see us and if we can make it work." Right, and
I,
not make
yeah.
ourselves look silly or get over the anxiety of going live because everybody has a little anxiety of stage fright, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, no, for me it was just with I think a lot of content creators you just picked up during COVID because like what else did you have to do at the time? And I was doing more general stuff. I didn't really want to touch too much on Mill Talk at the time, so I ended up finding my niche within the D&D community, and then branching out from that into like some of the other spaces because I was mostly doing stuff on TikTok, but then when I branched into the other social medias like Twitter and Instagram, that's where I started meeting up with some of the other creators out there. And shout out to my friend Amber, who goes by the handle of Amber the Space Jamber.
Okay.
They were like, "Hey, do you want to? That I've seen you. Do you want to be part of this one shot?" I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm down for it." And that was my first time doing an AP, and next thing I know, I'm doing a whole bunch of other APs with a whole bunch of other people, and I just haven't stopped. It's been a fun time, and I'm glad that I've managed to that they offered me a spot to be able to play and be part of this community.
no, it's good. It's good. It's working out
So
for you.
so Amber did some work on necrobiotics. She did the I think it was kind of the either like safety reading or editing or something like that. But I know Amber worked on this because my buddy Mitch, this is his game, and
Nice.
he's in Baltimore. So I don't know Amber, but we're kind of like in parallel
Yeah.
of
In the same realm,
I haven't
so to
actually
speak.
seen anything from her in a while, so I don't know if she's. If
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just, you know,
I think the life has just kind of like gone up, which is that's understandable. Like
yeah.
life is what it is, and yeah, like
There's a lot of burnout.
yeah.
Like with us, like you may or may not have picked up, but this is our whole thing. Our podcast is essentially our home game,
Mhm.
and we just kind of, or I do all the work and make it.
You had help from Matt. Matt
No,
helped.
no, no.
He's our most humble member.
No, no.
No,
Like
he does
I
do all the
wouldn't
work.
be able to. We wouldn't have a podcast if these guys didn't all go charging for with it. So
Mhm.
it's always one of the things I want to talk to you about was the whole kind of like going out for casting with for actual play or live play games, and
Mhm.
that whole world is like foreign to me. I can't imagine like asking someone else to be on their game. It's just like it's, you know, I get this whole stranger danger anxiety thing, and like
Yeah.
it just,
But
yeah,
Justin, just so
it's
you know, it's
you can
always about
explain it to me.
it's about the mic. It's about the mic for Nathan. It's always about their mics. I just want to let you know, Nathan's a big sound guy. But
Fair enough.
I'm a nerd. So half the podcast for me is getting to play with all the toys I couldn't afford when I was when I went to audio engineering school. So.
Yeah.
Nathan's very good.
But yeah, but yeah, just can you talk about that? Uh, your experience, kind of breaking into that, and it's really so far out of my comfort zone. I just need someone to kind of explain that to me.
Yeah. What is it? Well, so I know for me when I started, I besides like being part of what people have asked me to be part of, I'd see different what is it? Different casting calls for things that were going around the community. And so I would just go out there, like, what's the worst that they do? They like, if I don't know who these people are, but I'm
Mhm.
looking to be part of their game, they're asking for people to be part of their game. Okay, cool. Worst they say is for me is it's somebody who I don't know is saying is looking over me for somebody else. That's not going to be it for me. There's no issue with that because again, I
Mhm.
don't know who they are, and if they
Mhm.
pick somebody else better than me, then that's cool. Or not better than me, but if they pick somebody else over me, then I'm still okay with that because um, whatever made them a better candidate is cool, and I will check them out to see what that is because for me, I'm always looking to learn and improve myself in this skill craft that we do as storytellers and as AP performers. But I've been fortunate enough that within the space and communicating with a lot of the other content creators out there, I've been able to build relationships with folks. So I don't necessarily do casting calls too often now.
Mhm.
It's now more that I'm talking with people and I may pop up for something that somebody thinks I would be a good fit for. So I'm very blessed for that. I'm also very blessed that I've been fortunate enough to be able to help establish and make those type of relationships with folks. But for anybody that is out there that wants to join in on the AP space, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and see um, what casting calls there might be out there. I would also caution people too in that taking, especially for what is it, our BIPOC people, is to also do research on the people who are doing the casting calls because there are there are bad actors in the space um,
Yeah.
that are doing stuff
Yeah.
that are being exploited even now in 2025, but it's less so in my opinion from what I've seen. But that may also be because I've curated my feed enough to where like I may not see them. They may be out there still, but you know I don't see it.
I used to definitely see more when I was on Twitter because we've been doing this
Twitter's
for about
horrible.
4.5 years now, and there's definitely some folks that one reason or another were either exploiting or there's some other types of allegations
Or
or bad
agenda.
behavior. Yeah, it's just like it's so like I have my cozy little friends that I've known for like 30 plus years that they're my little
Yeah.
my safety blanket. So that's kind of the neat thing.
What?
You too, Sean.
Okay.
You are my bald little safety
I'm
blanket.
talking about Chris.
Well, yeah, it's unfortunate with Twitter/X, right? Because when we first started this,
Yeah,
it
was much
was
different.
I mean, we met all the people in the
Mm-hmm.
TTRPG space that we met within like the first year or so was there. But it's we still have the account for this, but it's a wasteland. And
Yeah.
there are still people on the feed, but I would say those are people who have chosen to not go to like Blue Sky and all that. And I don't really have much. So the tenor of what's remained is different. It's not the space, it's not the community that was there 4 years ago.
Yep.
And that's unfortunate. But it's we've met people in other ways now. So it's
Yeah.
And it's not on like swiping left or right, by the way. But so Justin, I do like the
Only
way Matt hit a good point, but Justin, I do like the way your thought processes on how you do it. Going out there and say it's almost like going for a job interview, the way you were describing it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I'm not the person they select because they want to go in a different direction, that's fine. I'll watch, I'll learn, I'll go next. And it is right. I would tell everybody that, like anybody who's just going into a game, it's that might not be a good fit for you, or you might start playing it and not like it. And I don't know if that's happened or it has been one of your best experiences, but you learn and you grow in it. And Nathan has thrown us a couple times out to other podcasts. I've done at least one, two.
It's much more
And,
comfortable for me to let the
yeah.
voluntold.
And I have no problem being in the public eye, or because I was in my old job, I was in it a lot. So it's sort of like I find it fun and adventurous, and I think you have that same sort of mentality. Like, yeah, let's go do this. This is cool, and good for you for doing that. You're probably the most. But I got to say, you're probably the guest I've get most experienced guest it seems like we've had do this, because you are out there doing it a lot. And I noticed with your podcast, the RoleD5, your group, I should say, in fairness, it's not just you. There's a lot of members coming in and out from looking at the episodes. You have and it seems to work really well for you guys. Because like I'll go to your website. Best Game Master. You have 6 people in there, which is great. that got, including yourself, by the way. I wanted to just put that out there, and I was like, wow, look at all this stuff. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It seems like you guys have built up. Now transferring what you've done into how your group, I should say, your team, or how you want to work at work. How do you guys work together to come up with ideas and work it out? Because it sounds like you jump between roles, let's just say player versus role games master, right? Some prefer one, some prefer the other. Like I'm a player.
Yeah.
And some of my friends, Nathan does both, Matt does both, our friend Malcolm, most of our friends, actually, all of us in our podcast pretty much, except for me, do both. So could you expand on that a little?
Yeah, absolutely. So An and Mika, our founders and our directors, they came up with this concept, especially after the OGL incident that had occurred.
Oh yes,
to provide more of a space for indie TTRPGs, and with that, there are an abundance of them out there, from one pagers to things that are a little bit more complicated. Maybe you get to see something that you wouldn't normally see, like a Kids on Bikes podcast, like a Kids on Bikes game, or a version of Kids on Bikes that somebody came up with. And they came up with the idea of, like, let's showcase these on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis, depending on what our schedule looks like, and provide people with the idea, with the information, like, hey, there's more to TTRPGs than just D&D, Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder. There are these indie games that really should be given a chance to be played in at your home tables. There was one that our friend, like Luke from Misty Mountain Legends, came up with, which was a fungus-based one page, and I got to play on that one. And it was, you could either be what was a fun guy, or I can't remember what the name of the other one was. So, Luke, forgive me, but we managed to be able to tell a 3-hour story and make it incredibly complex while also only having 2 stats on a one page TTRPG that he made. So it just goes to show you don't really need like an entire thick book to be able to play a game. If especially like if you want to just start something right now, you only need one page and your imagination to be able to go from that. And that's what I love about the RD5 team. And going back to the original question of how we do it, well, we as a group, with Mika and On leading us, come up with the concepts. Now we have more themed months. So like you'll have like October being a horror month. You'll have August being X theme for the month. It kind of helps us narrow things down now to where like we're not just throwing random games out there. No, they're all kind of follow into the theme of what that month is. And then for our Ko-Fi supporters, they actually get a voice into like what games or what themes that they want to see us play and for what month. So that's that idea has kind of helped really have the community engage with what we're doing, what games we showcase, and also hear from them as to like what they want to see on the channel. And now as far as like the casting is concerned, we do casting calls out there. We also reach out to people too that we know would be a good fit for stuff, and allow for them if they want to do a GM spot that they can, and they have the space to be able to do it. And then we go from there, and they have their scheduled months. We have a team of techs to include myself that are there to support them or be cast members, or if I'm feeling froggy and I want to GM something, I'll ask like, hey, can you put me in for this month? Because if we have nobody else doing it, I'm more than happy to do it.
My God, this
if-
organization you speak of is foreign to me. But anyway, sorry, man, I had to get that.
Yeah, they won't let us. They won't let us have any organization. And anytime I bring out a PowerPoint or a spreadsheet, I get lambasted.
That's true.
So if someone wanted to check out the casting calls, where would folks go to see just see those announcements? Like I've seen some places use Discord, some others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is it? We're all over the socials. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Instagram. We're on Threads. We're on TikTok. We have our respective site that has all of our information consolidated, so that way you can check out the latest in our casting calls to potentially put your name out there. And I think even be able to and even join up into the Discord to see what we got going on. We'll reach out to the community too, and obviously we'll do our vetting for anybody that wants to be part of things. But that's generally, you can check out our socials for pretty much all of the casting stuff that we have coming up.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions around this also. So, like again, kind of go back to what we were talking before about avoiding being exploited or exploiting people. So I peruse the podcasting subreddit on Reddit quite a bit to kind of lend some my technical do's and don'ts. And I see a lot of times there are people that they'll have an idea for a TTRPG podcast, and they don't have the friends, they don't have the technical know-how, they just have this idea for a podcast, and they say, well, I'm looking for people to volunteer their time to do all this work for me to make my vision come through. And to me, like that was like Time out. Whoa, buddy. You,
Okay.
don't you see that you're like taking advantage of people's and like as I know people get really excited about their ideas and they think like I've got to get this made. I just have no idea how to do it. But like so on one end, do you have any advice for folks that are looking to put on a casted actual play and how they can gather folks to work with and but do it in the right way that's not exploitative or or
Yeah,
terrible.
for sure. I think the big thing is that I would recommend for somebody, one, learn OBS and learn and read through as much of resources for you for podcasting or doing streams, because that's going to help you out in the long run. Especially because I know for me, I've learned to do tech through RoleD5. They've been very helpful with helping improve my skills. But for somebody who may not be be on the amateur side, has not done any of this stuff, by all means, look up on YouTube and figure out how to like work this out. And also with the understanding that when you do this, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. So we're not even talking about casting at this point, but getting down to like the how's things going to work. I would tell people, learn how to do the process first, so that way one, you can focus on getting everything mostly the way that you want it to, but you're relieving the stress off of anybody that you off of the rest of the community who has the technical skills, but you're not able to pay them. And if they don't know you, and you like, if Joe Schmo came off the street and was like, "Hey, I heard you do tech. You mind doing this for me because I want to do this?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know who you are." We're gonna have to talk pricing at this point. But as a performer, if you come up as like, "Hey, look, I have this idea. This is my pitch for the game that I'm looking to do." It's unpaid, but if this is an idea that you want to do, would you be interested? And I'm like, okay, cool. And depending on how the pitch is, I'll go for it. Especially because if it sounds like tech is already been taken care of, my next question would then lead into, now we're getting into casting, making sure that you have a very diverse cast. And I know with RoleD5 we have our DEI policy, in ensuring that majority of the cast, or at least half of the cast, is going to be people of color, with that emphasis being there. So as long as, I know for me, I don't like being part of tables where I am the only brown person there. Because then that's where it does become more exploitive, or the optics of being more exploitive come into play. Because now it's like, why did you really bring me on to this?
I see that. I see where you're going with it. Yeah, I get it.
So Malcolm
Malcolm
on our 4-year anniversary live episode, he put DEI on his little name tag.
Which is not.
Well, just to touch on what you said, is sort of like learning the basics and building on it, right?
Yeah.
And which is basically, that's for anything you do, folks.
Just not expecting everybody else to do it for you.
And don't like make people do all your work for you. Like, Justin's talked about everything. Like, when you join something, in which I've done once, it's for fun, right? You're doing it for fun and to learn, and to network. Network is a good piece of it too, getting to know more people. And and I agree with Justin. You're trying to bring something into your environment that you think should be a good thing, that should be propagated throughout the system. It's funny, when we were in college, and we're talking the 80s, we were a very diverse group of people. Sadly, a couple of our friends have passed away. And then we were, one of the conundrums we had when we started this, we looked around, it's like, God damn, we're a bunch of old white guys. What the heck, And it was a joke, but we're like, man, I mean, how are we going to reach an audience with because it's
Yeah.
perception is perception, and that
Right.
time that's
Yeah.
you don't it's not necessarily reality, but it is what it is. That's
Well,
just the world
that's
we
with
live
like Malcolm and Chris. Not like we don't really.
in. Yeah, Chris. But Chris
We
is a
don't talk
Lego.
about
They
it.
don't
But
know.
but I mean, like so Chris. So we have two people that are in marginalized communities on our podcast,
Yes.
but we don't talk about it because neither of them really want to be kind of they feel that is exploitative. Also, if they've become like kind of a marketing
Yeah.
token, it's like it's
Yeah.
like, oh look, we've got a black guy. Oh look,
Yeah,
And
Nathan,
he's
I'm glad we
gay.
shut Nathan down on that, by the way. But
So,
go ahead.
but yeah, no, yeah, yeah. That
Well, and it's not
but-
just that too. Like our off-screen gaming group, just some people don't want to be on the show. Our spouses game, right? They don't. My wife doesn't want to be on the show. I don't think we'll get Laura on eventually.
Yeah,
right.
Laura.
I did have a similar question. So we've all gamed together forever,
Yeah.
right? So when you game with people, and you probably had this with your folks when you're in the military, when you game with people who you're super familiar with, the things that can be said at a table, it's a much broader, more forgiving environment. But when you start gaming with people who maybe you're not personal friends with,
Yeah.
or especially if you are bringing cast that's outside, safety tools become very important. I was wondering, how does RoleD5 handle safety tools, especially when bringing in maybe cast for a show that you don't have long-standing relationships with, where it's more important to establish that?
Yeah. So off the rip, we have we'll make a Discord channel, and we'll have only the people that are about for the specific event, and we'll list in a link to our safety checklist that's pre-filled out with RD5, our hard nose right off the rip. So like it's never up for question what is a no for us. Before any of the other cast members come in, they will click in and see that, and they will see off the rip like no transphobia, no homophobia, none of those. All those will be hard marked as a red for this is not going to be part of our game. And then it's for the rest of the players to be able to fill out anonymously. For the most part, it's anonymous for like checking the blocks because you don't know who's doing it. The only time you know when somebody's filled something out is when it's who you are, who your character is, if there's a class associated with it, and then we're going into specific with like the romance, PvP, character death, NPC death, so that way we're all on the same page for that, and that way nobody, that way we all know where those boundaries are, because some people may not be cool with romance. Me, I will tell you, fuck me up, man. If we're gonna do romance, we're gonna do romance. Make me fall in love, and then break my heart. It's what it is. We'll also say straight up forward, like, hey, anytime romance is involved, and as long as the players are consenting to it, cool. And then if anything goes beyond like a kiss, it'll fade to black. So nothing expletive will be portrayed on our show.
I mean, that's a lot of work and description anyway. Who wants to do that? Right?
Yeah, exactly. So
but it's good because you don't know what someone's red line might be something you're not anticipating. Yeah. So and I like that you do it anonymously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just out there, right? It's just as a collective, but without anyone having to feel like, oh, everyone's gonna blame me because I've said I don't want this kind of content, right?
It's a code of conduct, Matt, and that's it's a basic, respectful code of conduct you put out so everybody understands. Because there's also I deal with a diverse environment throughout my career of different cultures, as you have. We all have, most of us, and some cultures bring stuff in that it's not meant to be offensive, and the subject can be sensitive. And they don't realize it. And, sometimes you just got to put it out there so they understand. And I've had to mitigate those differences of opinion. And it's just getting everybody to understand, hey, this isn't, nobody's saying you're a bad guy or a bad girl. And there's certain things that are just wrong. We all know that, but certain things are just misunderstandings. And it's when you level set everybody, okay, this is the bar. We don't go below this. We go above this. Everything else is good. That's pretty smart, and I applaud you for that.
Have you ever had a wrench? And I just think it's because some of it is phobias, right? I don't know if you've ever had this happen. I always think in my head, like we had a guy that I never really knew him personally, but I think some of you guys knew the guy who was terrified of spiders, like physical reaction to any, even the smallest of spider. I just wonder if you've ever had something that we've had to like, oh no, my game was about spiders, and now one of my players, it's like, okay, roaches. It's like, I don't know if you've ever had to like,
there's centipedes now.
To, like nimbly change the content or reframe it based on a concern.
Thankfully not. Thankfully everything, because whenever I come up with games, and not just necessarily with RD5, just in general, like I'll put in the content warning so that way the people who are going to be part of this have an idea. It's like, hey, this is some of the things to expect with the game. And thankfully people have always said like they've been cool with everything, or they will be like, hey, you said blood here. It's a yellow for me in this case. I'm like, cool. I don't need to go into graphic detail. In fact, I probably won't. It's just like you'll see blood splatter, and I'll give out examples to make sure like people are aware of that. Or if there's something specific where like don't mention this, I have sticky pads all over my desk, and I will write that out, and this will be put out there. Do not say this. Because I care and respect, and I tell my players all the time, even with the session 0 I just did, that your guys' safety is paramount to me. And I've told my techs, I've told people I've done streams for on their channels, like if somebody tells me we need to stop, we're going to go ahead and go to break. And if we need to cancel the rest of the stream, we're going to cancel the rest of the stream. I will refuse to go any further from here, especially when it comes to a safety concern, and whatever that may be. I'm always happy to advocate for my players, and I always tell them that like no matter what, your guys' safety is paramount, and I take that as seriously as I can. So
there you go. That's good.
So I unintentionally made this like a much more serious conversation than.
No, it's good, Nathan. That happens.
It's good.
It's good.
I'm glad good. This is different for us, because usually like just a clown show.
Well, usually we go off to the left, take a hard left turn, and go down some rabbit hole of gaming that's just silly. And
so let's step into a rabbit hole of gaming. So when you're a player, what kind of characters do you usually like to play?
That's a really good question. I like to play.
Now we're going to fade to black.
And I would fade to black. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I'm out.
Pervert.
Depending on the scenario, like I like playing the what is it? I like making laughs, making jokes as much as possible. Just because I know it's hard for me to play a very serious character for an extended period of time. I'm not that kind of a person. Don't get me wrong. I can do it. I can do political intrigue. It's fun to do, but I cannot do it for very long because I will end up starting to crack jokes just to relieve the tension of it, which you need for a horror game. You can't totally be serious. And that's also my reaction when it comes to something that I'm feeling scared about, or I'm feeling uncomfortable. Like, well, I'm going to make a joke about this because I don't know what else to do with my hands.
Yeah. Our first Alien game was hilarious, actually, but horrifying, but hilarious.
I think we have a tendency to use humor in dark situations. So when we have horrible things, people listening to us are probably like, "Oh, those people are terrible people." It's just, we played Twilight 2000, which is post-apocalyptic, a lot of very bad things, and
we tried.
I think there's a lot of using humor to deal with things, and I don't know, I think lots of folks do this. I know for me, at least classically, when I was in the military, that was also a defense mechanism, right? There's a lot of humor when dealing with things that maybe someone might go, "How could you joke about that?" It's like, gotta.
Very easily, yes, we definitely can.
If I had a nickel for every dead parent joke that we made
that you've told. I just
have
real
one right
quick
now.
circling
far.
back to something you mentioned earlier, because you mentioned, I think it was Kofi. So is there a way for folks to support the show?
Yeah,
What are
let's
some
talk
of
about
those
that.
what are some of those methods to support the show, and what are some of the things that for better terms, what do they get for it?
and separately too, just because you're still working on other shows. D5 RoleD5 is not the only show that you
Right.
do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the ones that, what is it? RD5. I'm an actual team member for. For everybody else, you'll see me as a player for this one show. I'm just a performer, or I don't say just. My apologies for word choice, but it's more like I am a performer for a channel, or I'm a GM for a channel, but I will always have a home over at RoleD5, and I do, like I said, I do either the playing, or the GMing over there more consistently more consistently.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt Matt's.
That's okay. Thanks. It's
I
okay.
feel
You
like
just
you already
completely
did.
derailed it. It's all right.
You fucked it all up,
like,
Nathan.
I think we've been talking about RoleD5 a lot, but I was pretty sure
right.
Justin was still doing other. That wasn't your only gig, so I didn't want to like focus on that like 100%. So, but anyway, out of the stuff that you've done, if folks want to get an idea of your GMing style, what should they watch?
If you want an idea of my GMing style, RD5 is going to have like the most of my stuff, whether AP performance or
What's your best?
GMing. Ooh, the GM, that's actually a hard one.
Yeah, this is, you got to choose your favorite kid here.
Okay.
Oh God, Nathan for controversy. Go ahead.
Okay, I will say the one that I love going back to that is filmed is over with my friends over at Too Legit to Crit. We did a Call of Cthulhu Call of Cthulhu 2-shot. It's broken up into 2 or 3 episodes, but we did 2 or 3 episodes, but we did it all in one afternoon. And it was a good time. It was fun. We got to incorporate a lot of things. We went we pulled from the Nameless Horror from the Nameless Horrors scenario book, and if you want to see about that specific scenario that played out, go check out Too Legit to Crit to see how my GM styling was with Call of Cthulhu, and the amazing cast that I had the fortune of running that.
I love that name. Too Legit to Crit.
So is it on a playlist, or was there a certain name for that particular show?
I think it's on a playlist because it was Call of Cthulhu. It didn't have like a specific name.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I'm on their website, right? Yeah. I can. You know what I'll do is I'll be lazy and I will just put the whole site on there, and then.
Yeah, Love One. He was. I remember when he approached me for this, and we talked a little bit. And I'm just like, hey, if we can get these folks to play, this would be awesome. And and when we were able to make it happen, it was a great time. So, and being able to incorporate our friends from across the pond to be able to play a game as well. Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better table to be able to do that with. So,
yeah, he's been very supportive. He's a cool guy.
That's great.
Yeah,
just go ahead, Nathan. Sorry.
No, I lost my.
Since you killed my question, Nathan, come up with a big closer.
So, what I guess, what's next? What's hot and on the horizon for GM good. Justin?
For me is right now I'm still working on editing a Call of Cthulhu project that I'm doing on my personal that I put together from using the Cults of Cthulhu book, the scenarios that are in the back of it. I decided that I want to run a mini series based off of these books and see how with player decisions we can incorporate their actions from each of the modules from one group to the next. So, like I had mentioned before, I'm learning how to do video editing. I'm also learning how to do sound. So I'm very fortunate that I have time. I'm doing this on my own. I did this with a group of my friends, my friends that are also creators that were very interested in doing this, and that's one thing that I'm working on. But besides that, charity work. We got Pride coming up over at RD5, but not only them, but charity work that you can see me doing in other spots too. Nothing specific off the top of my head. You can also find me playing games over at Smoking Blue Guns. I'm playing a game tomorrow with them for our Veils of Atheum campaign.
Awesome.
Oh wow, that's great. All right. Well,
Yeah,
we are.
yeah. If you have any sound questions, I need to use my degree somehow. So feel free to hit me up. I help out strangers all the time. I'd rather help out folks that.
So Nathan is vetted. He's not stranger danger. I just want to say that right.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's for you, Matt. And you and Nathan have a weird thing going on. We're just going to leave that alone. That's something that goes beyond our
It's
code
not
of
weird.
conduct.
It's natural.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
it's
not weird at
maybe
all.
to you. There's a reason your room is red.
Laura
Anyway,
says okay.
Anyway, I want to thank you, Justin, for joining us tonight. I really liked your insight into your journey and your process on how you've gotten into this, and you go out there and game, and some of the help. I think some of our listeners will like to learn to get into a game. If you want to join a game that you don't know to people, I hope you get into that. Take Justin's advice. Bookmark this to review it. That's what I have to say. Matt, do you have anything to say?
No, thanks for coming on. It was great talking to you, and good luck in all the dust storms down there.
Geez. Yeah, thank you. I hope your next few years go well for you and safe for you, Justin. And Nathan, you have anything?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're able to hop on with us, and glad I got to know you a little bit better. If there's anything you need from us, we're here to, we're a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say in the Army. So,
The
sorry.
I mean, to be fair, we do have the largest naval force out there.
You
So
do. The Riverine Force, right? Yeah.
There you go. See, I was unintentionally right. But thanks again. Look forward to seeing what you guys do, and thanks everybody for watching, and be sure to tune in on Tuesday for probably the finale of our two-shot mothership game.
Yes, it will be the finale of our 2-part mothership game, and and I finally had a character get called out in a text, which I appreciate that. So, and next week, and of course next week we'll do leftovers, and down the road I'm sure Justin will revisit us when he has his new project or is about to get his Emmy for being such a good gamer. All right, that being said, good night everyone. Take care. So everybody say good night.
Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
And Matt or Nathan has to close us.
Oh shit.
Well, thanks for putting us on the spot, host.
I'll do it. I got it.
Wait, hold on, let me